So I want you to do something for me. Imagine reaching out to shake a robot's hand and instead of cold plastic, you feel warmth. Skin that's the exact temperature of a living person. That's not a sci-fi pitch. That's a robot called Moya, and it just got unveiled in Shanghai, and the internet honestly doesn't know whether to be amazed or completely freaked out. I've been digging into this all week because it's one of the wildest things I've ever seen in robotics, and I want to walk you through all of it. So, if you're into stuff that's actually gonna reshape the next decade, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe right now because this channel lives and breathes exactly this kind of story. And I promise the rest of this one gets even stranger, so let's get into it. Okay, let's meet Moya. Moya comes from a Shanghai startup called DroidUp, also known as Humanoid, and they revealed her at the Zhangjiang Robotics Rally in late January 2026. This is a dynamic epicenter for China's robotics advancements, home to over 150 specialized companies, and right away, you can tell DroidUp wanted to do something very different. She stands at about 5'5" and weighs roughly 70 pounds, which is shockingly light for a full-size humanoid. She's female presenting and she's built to make you forget she's a machine. Her exterior is soft, silicon-based skin laid over a pileable padding that simulates the texture of human flesh, complete with an internal ribcage for structural realism. But here's the part everyone keeps talking about. According to DroidUp, Moya's body temperature sits between 90 and 97 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly the same range as a human. The founder, Li Qingdu, basically said that a robot meant to serve people shouldn't feel cold and mechanical. He says it should feel warm and approachable, almost like a living person you can connect with, and honestly, I get that logic. There's real research showing we use touch and temperature to feel a sense of kinship with each other, often without even realizing it. So if you're building something for elder care or companionship, warmth is a genuinely clever move. And it doesn't stop at the skin either. Behind each eye sits a camera, so she can hold natural eye contact, smile, nod in agreement, wink, and mirror subtle micro expressions back at you in real time. Some reports put that at around 25 degrees of freedom just in her face. So when you smile at Moya, she clocks in and smiles back. And that's the thing that tips people from ooh cool to okay, this is a little much. Okay, with the introduction out of the question, it's time to talk movement, because this is where it gets interesting and a little more controversial. Moya is built on a platform called Walker 3, a successor to Walker 2, which won bronze at the 2025 Beijing Humanoid Half Marathon. So this skeleton already has a track record of actually walking long distances without falling over, which is more than a lot of humanoids can say. What makes Moya move smoothly is that the company rebuilt the torso around the artificial spine instead of rigid jointed sections, so the body can twist and shift weight and move like our body does. She uses tendon-assisted actuation that keeps her light and energy efficient, with a battery life of roughly 6 hours per charge. And then there's the headline number. DroidUp claims Moya walks with 92% accuracy compared to natural human gait. Now, I'll be straight with you, that number is theirs and it hasn't been independently verified, and it comes from their own marketing rather than any peer-reviewed study. When you watch the footage, she's not exactly gliding. She moves carefully, sure, but it's still all very stiffy, like she's just finished a brutal leg day at the gym. But compared to most expensive humanoids that can't even walk, the fact that she does both the face and the locomotion is genuinely impressive to me. Now, here's where reactions split right down in the middle. On Reddit and across social media, you've got two camps. Some people are fascinated. Others are deeply unsettled, and a lot of the comments are the obvious uncanny valley remarks, with people comparing her to a Westworld character or even a walking ghost. And I understand it. At first glance, the skin still looks a touch plasticky, and the eyes can feel a little vacant, and that's when the discomfort kicks in. The hands are a common sticking point too. Faces have come a long way, but realistic human hands are brutally hard to nail, and people do notice. There's also healthy skepticism about the demos themselves, like a clip of Moya pouring juice that critics suspect was edited to look smoother than reality. That's fair. You should always squint at a polished promo video. But here's what I find more convincing and more interesting. There's footage from a live event where actual attendees walked right up to Moya, touched her, and interacted with her directly, and those unscripted reactions are far more revealing than some glossy ad. When it's not a controlled shoot, it holds up better than you'd expect, and honestly, I think Droid Up would win more people over if they led with that. Now for the part that nobody likes to talk about, the price and the money behind it. Moya is targeted at healthcare, elderly care, and high-end reception roles, and with a starting price of around $173,000. The first production batch is tiny, with only about 50 units expected late 2026, and Droid Up lets buyers customize the look, swapping hairstyles, facial features, and skin tones. So this isn't a toy for your living room, it's a premium institutional machine for hospitals, museums, banks, and care facilities. But here's the reality check. Droid Up is only about 2 years old, and yet they've raised roughly $28.5 million total, and they've burned through nearly half of that on payroll and recruitment alone, leaving them with under $15 million for actual production development, manufacturing, and sales, with a team of around 32 people. In an industry filling up with deeply funded competitors, this position is genuinely precautious. So, can a small, financially stretched startup actually ship this? That's the open question, but here's my honest take, and that is that the engineering choices, the artificial spine, the thermal skin, the expression mirroring are more thoughtful than a pure publicity stunt would require. Somebody there is genuinely trying to solve hard problems, and not just to chase a viral moment, and I respect them for that. And here's the thing, Moya wasn't even the only big robotics story breaking. This was a genuinely insane stretch for the whole field, so let me give you the rapid fire rundown. First up, Boston Dynamics and their Atlas robot. At CES 2026, they unveiled the production version of the fully electric Atlas and announced that it's already in production, with every 2026 unit committed to Hyundai's Robotics Center and to Google DeepMind. The secret sauce is the training. Boston Dynamics can run simulations equal to millions of hours of robot training in a single day, and then transfer those new skills to a physical Atlas in roughly 1 hour. They pull this off partly through smart hardware. Atlas uses just 2 actuator types across its whole body with symmetrical arms and legs, and they removed cable running across the joints, which makes it far easier to simulate accurately. And it's very strong. Despite being trained on loads of 50 to 70 pounds, it moved a refrigerator weighing over 100 pounds in testing. They've also teamed up with Google DeepMind's Gemini robotics model and lean on NVIDIA's computing muscle. To me, this is by far the clearest signal that the humanoids are walking off the demo stage and onto the actual factory floor. And then there's Augibot. In April 2026, they demonstrated a humanoid robot playing fully autonomous continuous table tennis rallies against humans with no remote control and no pre-programmed paths. It tracks the ball in real time and reacts to changes in speed, spin, and trajectory within milliseconds. Table tennis is one of the hardest tests of real-time perception and coordination out there, so this is a serious flex, and Agibot isn't small either. They ship shipped their 10,000th humanoid in March 2026 and ranked first globally in humanoid shipments for 2025. And finally, the brains. In June 2026, Alibaba launched its Qwen robot suite, 3 AI models built to act as a brain for robots, covering navigation, object manipulation, and a world model that predicts how a scene will change before the robot acts. Instead of competing on hardware, Alibaba is positioning itself as the intelligent brain provider that can plug into all sorts of different robot bodies. And if that works, it's kind of an Android moment for robots. So, step back and look at the whole picture. A warm-skinned companion robot in Shanghai, a factory-ready Atlas in Boston, a ping-pong-playing humanoid, an AI brain you can drop into almost any machine, and all in a matter of weeks. What strikes me is how fast the story changed. Not long ago, humanoid robots were basically a punchline, dropping plates and talking 10 minutes to an open fridge, and now they're moving appliances, holding rallies, and looking you in the eye. And yes, I have real questions about ethics, about job displacement and caregiving, about privacy, and with all those cameras, about general well-being, and about whether a small startup like DroidUp can survive the squeeze. Those concerns are valid, and we should keep asking them loudly. I do, at least. But I'm also genuinely optimistic here. Moya represents a shift from gimmick to something that could actually comfort an elderly person who's alone, or maybe guide someone through a hospital. That's a future worth being excited about, and even if the road there is messy and a little uncanny, it's still very much the best road ahead. And if you've got something out of this breakdown, smash that like button because it really does help us more than you'd think, and subscribe so you don't miss the next wave of this stuff, because trust me, it's coming fast. And I'll see you in the next one.